Hey YA nerds, my name is Kaye and I like to read a lot, and welcome to another episode of Kaye Reads a Lot. Sorry I didn't update last week. Honestly, time just got away from me. That seems to be happening a lot lately. But I'm going to make it up to you guys because this week I'm talking about two books. Yes, I'm still talking about series because I can't help myself. But this week I wanted to talk about Once and Future. By Amy Rose Capetta and Cori McCarthy. I actually have both books, for once, I know. Before I really get started on this, special shout out to Amy Rose, who did a, I don't even know if I should call it a giveaway, that's not really what happened, but they posted something on Twitter that was basically like, if you donate X amount of money to a bail fund, and this was like 2 months ago, so of course it's completely out of my brain, but they basically sent me both copies of their books, and they signed them, both of them. And actually it's so funny that this happened because I read the first book on my Kindle. As much as I don't like Amazon, a friend of mine gifted it to me. So I read the first book, and then I listened to the second book on audio because it was available at the time. And then I got both of the books from the authors themselves. So it's pretty good. It's pretty great. And honestly, I really loved this series, so it's just fantastic that I now get to own them, signed and special and wonderful. So I guess we should talk about this. So the first book came out March 26, 2019, and it is 336 pages. The second book came out April 7th, 2020, this year, and it's 368 pages. So only like a 50-page difference, not too bad. And yeah, I'm going to keep holding them up over and over again because that doesn't get annoying at all. Also, you guys can't really see my outfit, but I'm wearing stars because the book takes place in space. So figured, why not? So the overall plot of this duology is that King Arthur keeps getting reincarnated over and over again, and this time the king of all tales, it gets reincarnated into the body of a young woman, a young queer woman, who is living under the reign of a company not unlike Amazon. In fact, every time they said the Mercer Company in the book, I was like, Amazon. But you didn't hear it from me. And basically, the way that this universe works is, or the way the story is going to go, is that she finds Excalibur, Merlin finds her right afterwards, and they have to pretty much save the universe from complete destruction at the hands of this company, at the hands of not Amazon. And it gets really interesting. The relationships and the dynamics between the characters gets really interesting, which I could talk more about in the actual review part instead of talking about it now. I have to stop doing that. But Ari lives on a ship with her brother Kaye, which I was like, oh hey, that's my name. And they fly around the galaxy. They have 2 moms, pretty much. Ari was adopted. Her entire civilization was destroyed. She basically lives on a planet that's like the Middle East. At least that was as far as I could tell from the descriptions of the characters there and what little culture description we get about that planet. And her planet decided to stand up against not Amazon. And because of that, their planet was sealed off from the rest of the universe. Literally, not Amazon came and put a giant glass shield or plastic shield around the planet itself. And she was found just floating off in space somewhere, where the 2 moms of Kaye picked her up and pretty much adopted her and brought her onto the ship. So she and Kaye grow up, like normal kids, normal brother and sister, I mean. The very interesting part about this is that it is a retelling of the Arthur myth, but it's a retelling that has been happening over and over again for several thousands of years, and even Merlin points that out, oh, this is the 42nd, I think, or 45th or something, Arthur that we've had, and so obviously there's something going on, Merlin can't die until Arthur completes his mission, so that's why Arthur keeps getting reincarnated over and over again, because Merlin is still alive and so is Morgana, and so it's kind of like a curse that keeps just repeating this cycle over and over again. So Ari is the first person to really break the cycle in many ways. She's the first woman who picks up Excalibur. She's the first, I think, queer woman even, or something like that. She knew Gwen as a child. So you have all of the same characters as the normal myth. Guinevere's there. Lancelot's in the second book. Oh my god, I'm forgetting everybody's names all of a sudden. Kaye, obviously. Lameric's in there. Percival's in there. Etc., etc., etc. So it is really interesting to follow along with these characters, especially since retellings of Arthur tales are starting to get really popular these days. There was also a meme that popped up, which I thought was really funny, about how when things are bad, Arthur's supposed to come back and save the world, so it's part of his mythology. And a lot of people were talking about how the King Arthur flour brand has made this big comeback or something, and is saved the world because we're all making bread in quarantine. And I just thought that was so funny, because I'm reading these books and now we have King Arthur bread. Go figure. But that's as weird and roundabout as I explained it. That's basically the plot of these two books. So the tropes for this, there's a lot of tropes for this, because again, I am covering 2 books, and I actually did something smart for once. So I have the tropes typed out in a document, and usually I just put the document and my review page on the same screen side by side, and I just copy and paste them back and forth. This time I just copy and pasted all of the tropes, put them in the document, and then just deleted whatever ones I didn't think fit. And I think that's how I'm going to start doing this from now on, because I got a lot more things and it just made sense, I guess. So, as always, the trope descriptions will be put down below, the definitions rather. I'll try to describe what each of them means without giving any spoilers away. One of them is a little spoilery, so I won't say who did what, but we'll get there. And again, special shout out to my friend Tessa, who just helped me out massively with coming up with some extra ones that make more sense with the current trends that YA is going in. But also, I compiled this list before Tessa came to help me, and with the help of the internet, other YA librarians, and just things I've noticed and seen, and also some things from TV tropes and fanfiction tropes. So here we go. We have broken family units. Obviously, Ari is an orphan. Kaye and his mothers adopt her. Broken family units. Buried memories. So Merlin has some memories kind of buried from him, which get revealed in the second book. Really fun. The Chosen One. Obviously, King Arthur is the Chosen One over and over again. Communication is key. If the 2 characters that I keep thinking about would just talk to each other, everything would be fine. But no, we have to keep things hidden and buried, and no one can ever be honest with each other. Typical trope. Dystopian Future, obviously not Amazon. Mercer. Mercer keeps destroying the world and whatever, and so we live in a universe where that has to stop and be taken down. Found family, because not only was Ari found and Kaye and his mothers helped her, but also their friends, they chose their friends as their new family, and it's just really adorable and really good. Gullible Martyr, this is the one that's a spoiler. So one of the characters thinks that everything's gonna work out and everything's gonna be fine as long as we stick together and love each other and whatever, and then that character dies. Great. Royal Revelation, character's actually royalty and didn't have any idea, so Ari, she's King Arthur, had no idea. Unusual names, and I only put this in here because the names are kind of weird, because a lot of them are from the ancient Arthur scripts, but this is future. This is the year 3000, so. And youths in danger, which, self-explanatory, all the characters are youths and they're always in trouble. There you go. So relikes for this duology were kind of interesting, because both Goodreads and novelists kind of agreed for once. It was very strange. And for once, I actually really liked what Goodreads had to offer, what they did recommend. So yeah, I guess we should talk about it. So Goodreads first gave us We Set the Dark on Fire by Teller Kaye Mejia, which is kind of a weird, it's a dystopian novel. The main character, like, kind of secrets herself into, like, it's kind of like a school, I guess. I'm having a hard time explaining. An academy where when you graduate as a young woman, you graduate and you can decide whether to be like the lady of the house or the woman who gives birth in the house, which crazy just to begin with. So we kind of like the dystopian thing involved in that. You have a little bit of deception because the main character is not who she says she is in the book. So it sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like it could align a little bit with what Once and Future has to give us. And then the second book they gave us was the Guinevere Deception by Kiersten White. Now, Kiersten White is a very popular YA author, and she kind of writes about like a lot of different things. But this one is specifically an Arthur retelling, where Guinevere is the main character, and she is wed to an adult Arthur as like a teenager, I guess. She's a princess in another land, and magic is everywhere in this land. And she winds up at Camelot and is pretty much tasked with keeping the king safe, I guess. I haven't read either of these books, so like, who knows, I could be really off base on these descriptions. I did read both of them really quickly right before filming this, but memory is a fun thing. So I know I have this feeling like the Guinevere Deception kind of follows like the tale of Arthur pretty faithfully, aside from like adding a couple of like interesting twists in there. Like, it is known that Guinevere falls in love with Lancelot and cheats on Arthur with Lancelot, so that's my thinking, at least. Who knows? I could be very, very wrong. And then Novelist gave us A Long, Long Sleep by Anna Sheehan, which is a retelling of the Sleeping Beauty myth, but it's told in space, which I thought was pretty cool. So you have Sleeping Rose, or Rosalind, who is awakened by a kiss, but she's in space, and they kind of need her to like help with like this war, I think it is. Pretty interesting, I think. And then we have Seven Endless Forests by April Genevieve Ticholk. I think that's how it's pronounced. And the Seven Endless Forests is also an Arthur retelling, but it's told, I think, from a very different perspective. There is a magical sword in this world. It follows more of Morgan and Uther. Uther, I think, is Arthur's son or Arthur's father, depending on which story you're reading. So it follows a young woman kind of like trying to find her sister after her sister gets stolen by Uther. And she goes on this wonderful adventure, not unlike, kind of like The Hobbit, I guess. And along the way, I think she finds the magical sword. So both of those are pretty interesting. So again, as I always do with these read-alikes, if you like any of these four, you'll like Once and Future, and if you like Once and Future, you'll like any of these four. So as always with the end of this, I like to review the book by giving it, a number on a scale of 1 to 10, and most of the time I give the books 10s, especially if I happen to own the book like I do with this one. But I will give this duology an 8 out of 10. It's fantastic. It's a really cool retelling. I wasn't really into the Arthur myth before I got into this duology, so now I kind of want to read more about that. And there are a lot more myth retelling books coming out in YA right now, so it does make it very interesting to get into that. However, I'm not a fan of time travel, and they did a time travel thing in the second book. Let me hold that one up. Because, first of all, though, the covers of these are gorgeous. So, they get extra points for, just how beautiful they are. And I love that they're, of course, now they're, connected. I love that. But this one has time travel. Why you do this? Admittedly, the time travel was done really well, even if at one point I was like, wait, what? It's done really, really well. And again, I said when I was talking about the plots of these two, I really loved the characters and the dynamic that we get from having the characters. I thought that part of the book was fantastic. First of all, the characters are all culturally diverse and LGBTQIA diverse. And I thought that was really cool. I mean, it helps that the authors are also queer of some shape or color. So it's done really well. And even having like King Arthur as a woman is done really well. And you get so invested in this world that Amy Rose Capetta and Cori McCarthy have made, so much so that like when a character dies, it's upsetting, it's heart-wrenching, but it's great. And again, like with the time travel thing, it's not my favorite. It's okay, but the two of them did this very, very well, which is why it gets an 8 out of 10 instead of like a 5 out of 10, because that's how much I don't like time travel. But yeah, definitely go pick this duology up. It's really, really good. Ask your library to get it in. I know we just ordered 2 copies at my library. Yes, I could have given them my signed copies, but why would I do that? Then I wouldn't have them here to cherish forever. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about Once and Future and Sword in the Stars by Amy Rose Capetta and Cori McCarthy. Look at that, I'm getting so much better at talking about the books. And as usual, if you want to like and subscribe, be my guest. If not, whatever. If you'd like to see what else I'm reading, you can follow me on Instagram or Goodreads. The links are going to be down below, but they'll also be on my YouTube channel page. And I guess that's about it. So peace out, YA nerds.